Hey everyone, it's Bridget here from Bridget's Healthy Kitchen, wishing you a very wonderful day wherever you are in the world, whatever it is you are doing. I hope you're well and I hope you are safe. Thank you for joining me on this extra important cooking class today, this live cooking class. We are going to go back to basics. Look, I even put my chef's jacket on for the occasion because when it comes to these principles that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today, and I'm sharing 7 foundation principles, I call them. These 7 foundation principles are going to be the key to your long-term success when it comes to wanting to be slim and healthy and gut-friendly and all those sort of things. These 7 principles are going to set you off, not just in the right direction, but make sure it's harder to fail. And who doesn't want harder to fail, right? So all these tips that I'm going to be sharing with you today, and by the way, number 5 is my absolute favorite. All right, so please, you got to stick around and watch all these tips. Number 5 is my favorite. But all these tips that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today is literally what you will find in my fridge and also in my pantry. So I make sure to always have these things readily available. So I'm never any more than 10 minutes away from a delicious meal because, you know, sometimes you're busy and you're rushing and you just want to get at home and make something healthy and make something homemade rather than relying on buying takeaways. This will make sure that you're never more than those 10 minutes. That's all you need is 10 minutes and you can create 1,000,001 varieties of different things, from, you know, stir fries to pies to soups to stews to salads. This is the basics. So thank you for joining me. If it's the first time that you've joined us, welcome. Welcome to my kitchen. I like to think of it as the home of healthy, delicious. And if you've never bought one of my books, the foundation principles, and here's the trilogy here. Check that out. Yes, there are 3 now. Some of you guys will know that it all started from Bridget's Healthy Kitchen. So this book was released over a year ago now, about 1.5 years ago. And it's become a bestseller within 6 weeks. And the reason why, because all the recipes work and all the recipes are fabulous. Now this yellow book, we've only got a couple of 100 copies left of it. If you want to get your copy, you can. Bridget'sCookbook.com will get you your copy. It's on sale, more than 40% off at the moment. The reason why we got it at 40% off, because this book here, which is my 3rd book, is taking over. Eat Your Way Slim and Healthy, which is all the recipes from this book, plus I've added a bonus section, which is our healthy treats section. So this is now your roadmap to success. I'm working alongside Murdoch Books, so this book is going to be available all around the world. You can walk into a bookstore after August and pick it up, but if you want to secure your copy, Mahay's going to throw up a link where you can actually pre-purchase it now. It's on sale if you pre-purchase your copy, and if you pre-purchase it, I'm even going to go into Booktopia and sign lots and lots of books so you get a personally signed copy as well. So that is Eat Your Way Slim and Healthy. Like I said, there's still a few copies left of our yellow book, and then we're going to start moving on to this one. But of course, there's more. There's always more, and this book is literally will complete. Well, it completed me. It'll complete you as well. So it's very exciting, and the recipes that you guys are going to be we're going to be going through today, you can find in all those books. And the reason why they're in all those books is because they're that important. Like I said, foundation principles. What I want to set you up to do is to have practical, effective solutions so that you don't feel tempted to eat unhealthy, or you don't think, oh, it's all too hard. And also the other thing about these preparation, these foundation keys that I'm going to be sharing with you today is they're all really simple and easy to do. And because they're simple and easy to do, you don't have to spend, you know, all of your weekend prepping up for the week ahead. You can spend a couple of hours making sure you got all these bits and pieces in alignment and ready, and some of them will take you seconds to do. And then, like I said, you're never more than 10 minutes away from something healthy and delicious. So let's get into it. Like I said, we've got a few to get through, but very exciting. So number 5 is my favorite. Some of you probably already know what number 5 is, but if you're, like I said, if you're new, then, you know, keep watching. You're going to enjoy this, and it's going to make sure that you are ready to go when it comes to looking after yourself, looking after your body, and also looking after your loved ones. So come on down to my bench, and we'll start like with it's basics class. So we're going right back to the basics. And one of the most basic things that we can make sure we always have prepared, and this is about making sure we have flavors involved in our cooking. And I'm not sure about you guys, But one of the flavors that is really important in a lot of my cooking is something as simple as garlic. Having access to pre-chopped, prepared garlic is actually massive, because those little jars that you can get in the supermarket that already have the minced garlic and the minced ginger, a lot of those jars have additives, they have sugar, they have gluten, they have things that are not necessary. All we need is garlic. So what I like to do is I like to prepare quite a lot of garlic at the same time. It'll last me about a week. I've got 3 whole bulbs of garlic in there that I've just obviously peeled. Some people like to put the garlic bulbs in a jar and shake away and all the skins come off. Some people like to peel them individually. Me, myself, I take a whole garlic with the peel and then I just give it a little bit of a squash and then the peel just pops straight off. So I do enough garlic to last me a week. And this, like I said, this is about 3 bulbs of garlic in here. So I've got my garlic, and then I've also got my ginger. So this ginger, by the way, is this ginger was actually frozen ginger. The reason why I'm using frozen ginger, this is an Australian frozen ginger that I found in the health food store, is frozen in a big pack. It is way cheaper than buying fresh ginger at the moment, but if you can get well-priced fresh ginger, all you need to do is chop your ginger into pieces. Do not peel it. Not necessary for having fresh minced or fresh chopped ginger in your fridge. So don't even bother to peel it. Like, seriously, trust me, do not peel your garlic. Mine's already been your ginger. Mine's already been peeled because it's frozen. But I've just defrosted it. And if you want to make sure that you've got these containers always ready to go, this is how you do it. So one of the most important little machines that I probably own is this little machine here. If you've watched any of my lives, you know I use it all the time. I absolutely adore it because it stops me from having to chop stuff by hand, and there's nothing worse than having to chop all that by hand and make it consistent, and chop all that by hand and make it consistent. What we can do, of course, is just throw it straight into our little blender. And this one is, I just bought this actually. This is pretty much brand new. Brand new. I did my research and I discovered that this is a Kenwood, if anyone's interested. You can see that. It's one of those blenders that has lots of different little parts that you can attach to it. My favourite part is definitely this, because then I can do that. And that is pretty much it. You have done your ginger for the week. Great, right? And then we just put it into a container. So like, I normally store my ginger and my garlic in a container like this in the fridge. I've got one for ginger and I've got one for garlic. And it just works, you know. It's a no-brainer, because ginger and garlic can add so much flavour to food, just like that. And like I said, do not get the pre-minced ones, because they tend to have things in them you don't want. And fresh is definitely best when it comes to your ginger and your garlic, because when it's fresh, it's got the most health benefits in it. But literally, I think at the moment here in Australia, ginger is around, I've seen it between $30 to $40 a kilo. That for me is just outrageous. So I am using frozen, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay, but as soon as it starts getting cheaper again, I'm going to get into my fresh ginger. So once we've done that, the same can be done with the garlic. I don't mind having a bit of ginger. I'm not even going to wash it out. Who cares, right? I'm just going to do it like this. That's why I always do my ginger first and my garlic second, because then I don't have to wash it. I just think it's fabulous. So same thing here. It makes short work of it. How good is this Kenwood? Now, by the way, if you're wondering, I bought this online because I went into about 4 or 5 different shops, and not one single store had a stick blender that I could purchase. So I actually bought this online, and I think it was Amazon, and it came the very next day, and I'm really, really impressed with it because it makes short work of our garlic. Now, if you're using fresh garlic, you may find that your garlic starts to go a little bit bluey green. That's completely alright. That's just the natural oxidation of the garlic. If you want to avoid that, if you're like, ooh, blue-green garlic, then what you need to do is just add a couple of drops of coconut oil, or a couple of drops of olive oil, or a couple of drops of avocado oil, and that'll help to prevent the garlic from oxidizing. So this is like foundation step number 1. When you have this available to you, You are never far away. You can just, you know, you're doing a stir fry, throw in a teaspoon here, throw in a teaspoon there. It just makes sense, right? To always have 2 containers, one with ginger, one with garlic in your fridge. All right, putting those over there. The next step we're going to talk about is something very, very close to my heart, and that is the ability to add herbs to your cooking. Now, I'm definitely going to say with this particular tip, fresh is best. Now, what I have in here is my herbs, and this is the best way to keep your herbs fresher for longer. Now, I bought these 3 days ago, and you would think they've just been freshly picked. I've got some parsley, I've got some mint, and I've got some coriander, but you know, any fresh herb, what you need to do is when you get them home, if you're buying them, of course, if you're growing them, then all power to you. You just go outside and pluck a few, which is brilliant. I still haven't got quite that far yet to have a garden, so I'm still buying my herbs in bunches. I do not buy them at the supermarket. I always buy them at the greengrocer because I find that you get bigger bunches at half the price than you're paying in the supermarket. And because you now are going to know this trick, your herbs are going to last a long time. So give them a wash, take them out of their plastic sleeve because plastic will make them sweat and you don't want that. We want them to last a long time. Take them out of the plastic sleeve, run them under cold running water and give them a really, really good shake to get rid of the excess water, but you want them to be a little bit damp. You can kind of see the little glistening bits of water on there, which is important. So you want it to be a little bit damp. Also remember, give the ends a bit of a clean too, because you can use all these ends, so get rid of the dirt in there. And then take a clean tea towel, put that under cold running water, and you want the tea towel to be very, very damp. Not soaking so it's dripping, but very, very damp. And then all you need to do is wrap up your fresh bundles of herbs, just like that, nice and loosely, and then that goes into the vegetable crisper or the veggie bin in your refrigerator. And that's all you have to do. Now this method of having fresh herbs, always available in your fridge. This will last me well over a week, maybe 2 weeks. This will last me in the fridge. I always have access to fresh herbs, and fresh herbs can be the difference on a dish being amazing and being mediocre. So that's why it's important to have these. Do not underestimate the importance of fresh herbs when it comes to keeping your palate excited. And when your palate is excited, you are always going to keep on coming back to the healthy food. You don't feel like you're missing out. You feel satisfied. This is one of the tricks of doing it. Fresh herbs. Can you substitute fresh herbs for dried herbs? Not really. Not when it comes to things like mint. Dried mint and fresh mint, no comparison, right? The same with coriander. The same with dried parsley. No way. If you can go fresh, please go fresh. Wrap it in your tea towel. You will not be disappointed. It will last, 4 times as long as if you just put it into the fridge normally, and then you get the ability to be able to add so much flavour to your food. So that's number 2. Number 3, since we're kind of talking about herbs, let's now talk about spices. Spices are another thing that for me is vital. And there are certain things that do respond really positively from being dried. Things like, this is cumin powder, so one of my favourite spices. You can see I've got a decent amount of it. I have some coriander powder, not coriander leaves, but coriander powder. And then something along the lines of cumin seeds. So all these spices, and I have probably 6 stacks of spices just like this in my pantry, and they go up maybe 7 or 8 containers high. I like to store my spices in a see-through container so I can see what's available. Of course, make sure you label them because it gets quite confusing because these two kind of look pretty similar if you were to look at them without knowing. So label them, put them into a see-through container, and my tip for you here is only buy enough spices to last you a maximum of, say, 2 months. You want to turn over the spices as often as possible because the flavour does diminish if they're old. And if you go into your pantry now and you have cumin powder from, 2018, it's time to buy some new cumin powder. And once again, just like our fresh herbs, spices add so much. They add so much depth of flavour and honesty to the food that I cannot live without my spices. So that is definitely in my top list, is make sure you have your spices, make sure they're fresh. If in doubt, throw them out, but be prepared by, like I said, see-through containers are definitely the best. Any type of container that would suit you, but definitely see-through, because then you can see when you're running out, which is really important. So the next thing we're going to talk about, this is number 4, is something that I get asked I'll come up here. I can look at you. Something I get, oh, that's half a head. That's not very nice. There we go. Oh, there we go. Something that I get asked about a lot is this kombu? So you'll find in the books, I have a recipe right in the foundation part of the books, which is what I call the foundation recipes for kombu water. I will show you kombu water a little bit later on, but I always get asked, can I use this to make kombu water? So I'm going to show you the difference between wakame, which I also use, kombu, and nori. There's 3 seaweeds that we're going to be looking at. All of them are dried seaweeds, but fundamentally they are used for different things. So the 3 of them can't be used, interchangeably. You've actually got to have these 3. So firstly, kombu is probably the one that gets people, because I put kombu into pretty much everything. It's the stock that I use, which I'll show you guys how to do soon. So this is kombu, yeah? It is a sheet, and I know it looks like leather, not very pleasant, I do realize that, but this is a sheet of kombu. Now kombu is the Japanese word for dried seaweed or dried kelp. So when you go searching for kombu, you're looking for a sheet, a large sheet, something that you would pick, that you would look at and go, there is no way I am putting that into my body. It does not look nice, because it doesn't. But it's what it does for you that we'll discuss very soon, which is really, really important. So this is kombu, big, large sheet. This is what you're looking for when you go shopping. Now this, on the other hand, is wakame. And wakame, I've got it here so you can see, is very small pieces of dried seaweed. So you can't use that to make kombu water, but you can use that to make, I put wakame into stocks, into soups. I put wakame into tagines and things like that, where I want to add a bit of flavour, but I don't want to obviously put that in. I want to add a little bit of flavour. It goes through salads. I also grind it up and make a really nice spiced powder out of it. So ground wakame is really nice to sprinkle onto food as well, and that is completely different. And wakame is actually edible just like that, so you can put it into your mouth and chew away. Salty, because it's basically seaweed, dried, but it's very, very small. So that's wakame. And the last one, which can be a little bit confusing for people as well, is they show me a packet of this, which is nori, and they go, can I use this to make kombu water? The answer is no, you can't. Because nori, you guys all know what nori is. Nori is what they use to make sushi, right? To wrap sushi in. And so this here has almost no flavor or goodness compared with this. So can you use that to make kombu water? No, you can't. Can you use wakame to make kombu water? No, you can't, because remember that's little pieces. And this is used for making cauliflower sushi and nori wraps and all those sort of delicious stuff. And I still always have it in my pantry, but when I want to make kombu water, I go and head for this big piece of dried kelp. So since we're talking about kombu water, let's talk about our kombu. Let's talk about what is kombu water. So kombu water is the stock that I make, that I put into pretty much everything. There is almost, every soup that I make has kombu water. Anytime I have a recipe where I would, where someone else might add water, I add kombu. And the reason why I add kombu water is because this not too attractive looking piece of dried kelp has lots and lots of health-giving properties. So one of the major things, the major reason why I like it, is it's very high in iodine. And iodine is what helps to regulate our thyroid. And when our thyroid is working really, really well, it increases our metabolism. And when our metabolism is working really, really well, we are burning more fat. So that's why I use it, because it is fat burning. You won't see me very often use vegetable stock. You won't see me use chicken stock. You won't see me use beef stock. I will use kombu because the added benefits it has to your diet. Now, kombu, of course, is seaweed, so it's vegan. Anyone can use it. It's not, I haven't heard of anyone yet that has an allergic reaction to it. So it's very, very versatile, because it can go in soups and stews and curries, and tagines and all that sort of stuff. and it's easy to make, and it's really, really cheap. So you buy yourself up a packet of kombu, of this, which is our big sheet of kelp, and you can normally find them available if you have an Asian grocer near you. Go in there and have a look because they normally stock it. If you struggle with that, then please, by all means, go online. Google is your best friend if you're struggling to find kombu, if you're struggling to find wakame. Google is your best friend because Google will give you somewhere close to you where they deliver to you and you can have your kombu delivered to you. So first stop would be your Asian grocer. Second stop would be online. You're not going to find this, chances are, in your normal Countdown, Woolies, Coles, or whatever your supermarket is. This is not, they don't stock that in there. So you have to spend a little bit of time investigating where you can purchase. Is it worth it? 100%. So remember, that's what you're looking for. And this one sheet here, like I said, the recipes are in all the books. This one sheet here will make 4 to 5 litres, which is over a gallon of stock of kombu water. So a little goes a long way. And when your kombu has, and it's really easy to do, you literally just soak it in a big pot of water on a really low temperature for 4 hours. And then when it's done, you extract the water into glass jars, and then they just sit in your fridge waiting for you. Yes, you can freeze the kombu water, which is really great if you make lots and lots and lots. And yes, you can reuse that a second time. So if you want to reuse it a second time, what I suggest you do is remove it from your pot, wrap it in a plastic bag, put it in the freezer, so the next time you want to make kombu water, you can just take it out, pop it back in your pot, and make some more stock. It's so versatile. And then the third time, can you use it a third time? No, but worms love it. Throw it in the garden. They love it. Like literally dig it into your garden if you've got a garden. The worms absolutely love this. So really versatile, very cost effective. Yes, it can be frozen, which is great as well. And if you have it in the fridge, it's probably going to last you around about 2 to 3 weeks. But just keep an eye on it when you've got the stock in your fridge. If it starts to develop a smell or it develops a bit of a slime on top of it, obviously throw it away. If in doubt, throw it out. But you can't go wrong if you freeze it because you've always got kombu water ready to go. So that is our kombu, and that was number 4. So number 5, or that was number, I lost count, who cares? It was a really good one, but this one is probably my favourite, and there could potentially be a few of you that even know where I'm going with this, because it is one that I think it kind of started the revolution in terms of people going, you mean I just need to make this, and it avoids me having to add all sorts of unhealthy things to my food, and it tastes amazing. And what I'm talking about, of course, is Bridget's sticky sauce. So sticky sauce, I probably get asked questions on sticky sauce 10 to 30 times. You know, every couple of days people have questions about sticky sauce. So I'm hoping that today's foundation principles will mean that you all kind of go, oh, I get it now. I get sticky sauce. So sticky sauce is a combination of ingredients, and I use it so I don't have to have any added fats or oils or anything like that. Any nasty oils as well, because there's nasty oils. There's good oils, but there's nasty oils. If I can add this particular sauce to my food, and I'm adding so much flavour, more flavour than you'll get from any type of oil, and yet it is so incredibly good for our gut health. So the main thing that sticky sauce is made from is Tamari. Now Tamari is a gluten-free soy sauce. Would you believe I don't have any bottles available? Because I've used all my Tamari in my sticky sauce. So Tamari is a gluten-free, it looks like a soy because it's really, really dark. Look, here's my sticky, so you know, it's really, really dark, right? Really, really dark. It is a byproduct, this is Tamari, is a byproduct of miso making. So it has a very nice flavour as opposed to soy sauce, which has quite a strong salty flavour. Now Tamari still is quite salty flavoured, but it's, for me, there is a distinct difference between Tamari and soy sauce. The reason why we don't use soy sauce is because it's too strong, it is way too salty, and also it has gluten in it, whereas Tamari is gluten-free, which is fantastic. So we start with that base of Tamari, we then add really healthy apple cider vinegar and water to it, and we add it all into a pot. I'll bring you down here so we can talk this through. Come on down. There we go. So we put our liquid into a pot. We also add into that the juice of a lime. You can use a lemon if you're finding that limes are too expensive, the reason why I choose lime is that I find it's a little bit sweeter than lemons, but there's nothing wrong with you adding lemons. So a juice of a lime, make sure it's a nice juicy one too, you know, give it a good squash on the bench to make sure that we're able to extract all that juice from it. So we add that. We also take a green apple, peel it, and then we cook it down till it's a puree, and then we puree that. That goes into there as well. And the last thing that we add into our sticky sauce is some ginger. I often get asked, how big are the ginger slices? Doesn't really matter. I'm thinking like a coin size. Ginger goes into there along with the apple puree, along with the juice of the lime or the lemon. And now once we've got all those ingredients into our pot, you're going to have in total around about 600 mils, which is way over a pint of actual liquid in here. This is before we've done anything else, and it's really important to know that that is how much liquid you have in there. The reason being is now that we are at this stage, we take our pot over to the cooktop and we begin to let it boil and cook. And what we want to do is we want to take our 600 mils of liquid and reduce that by half. Now, when your sticky sauce is done, you will have half of what you started with. So you started with 600, you're going to have 300 when you're finished because we've reduced it down by half. People ask me often, oh, it's just so salty, why is it so salty and it's really thick? That's because you've reduced it too far. Remember, we just want to reduce it by half. So if you've got less than, say, 300 mils, which is, could you tell me how much that is in ounces, please, Mahi? 300 mils? Sorry, we just need to make sure, because I know we've got some of our American friends watching this as well.
10.1.
So you start off with 20 ounces. This is for our American friends. 20 ounces, which is 600 mils. You then allow that to simmer and boil away until it reduces down to half, which will give you, at the end of the day, about 300 mils or 10 ounces of sticky sauce. If you have less than that, you have reduced it too far, and chances are that sticky sauce is now going to be very, very salty and way too thick. And you don't have to throw it away. All you need to do is add enough water to come back up to that 300 mil mark, whisk it all together, and then you're away laughing. So whatever you do, don't throw it away. Fine. Just add back enough water in there, because that's all that's happened when it's boiling here, is that you are evaporating the moisture, evaporating the water. So we just add enough water back to bring it up to that 300 mil mark. So once that process has happened, feel free to leave the ginger in there if you want to, and just like literally take a little stick blender and blend it all up. I got asked from a lady today, she said, how come her sticky sauce is chunky? And the reason why it's chunky is you probably haven't cooked or blended your apple enough. That's the only reason why that will be chunky. So give it a good blend. I don't mind a few bits and chunks through there, I actually don't mind it, but if you really want to make sure you get a smooth sauce, then just use your stick blender, blend it until it's smooth. Like I said, you don't have to dispose of the ginger, you can leave it in there. Obviously the apple's in there as well, and you get a sauce like that that's going to last you at least a month if you store it in your refrigerator. It can be frozen as well, but I think I was away for about a month last year, and I had made a big batch of sticky sauce and just left it in the fridge with a lid on it, came back a month later, it was still good to go. So this, as we know, is literally the base to healthy, delicious. Yes, we have a question, Mahi.
Robbins asked, how does coconut aminos compare to tamari?
Oh, great question. So the question is, because we've been talking about tamari, and if you can purchase a low sodium tamari, please do. And the reason why we purchase a low sodium tamari is because it's just got less salt, right? If you can't find a low sodium tamari, then still get the tamari, but just be mindful that your sticky sauce will be a bit saltier than, say, my version, and not quite as good for you, because salt can, if we have it in excess, it can be not as good for us. We still have to have salt in our diet, really, really important for the functioning of our organs. We need some salt. But if you find that yours is really salty and you want to reduce that salt content, then look for low sodium or low salt tamari. It is available. It is hard to find though, unfortunately. Tamari is only available in the few supermarkets for a start, but it's usually available in like the gluten-free section or the health food section. But you can also find it at health food shops. Now the question was, and I actually have a bottle to show you this time, what is the difference if for someone to use coconut aminos instead of tamari? So coconut aminos it's made from coconuts. It's a lovely sauce, very similar in colour, obviously, and it's sort of a little bit of a sweet savoury sauce. And can that be used instead of tamari? Now, the reason why people may use coconut aminos instead of tamari is because they have a reaction to soy, because it's still coming from soy, the tamari. So if you are allergic to soy, or you just don't want to have soy in your diet, then you can swap out coconut aminos, which is from coconuts, with the tamari, and the results are fabulous as well. I mean, I absolutely adore coconut aminos. I'm not so keen on the price because it's a lot more expensive than tamari, but it is a nice alternative if you can't have soy or you don't want to have soy. But the other thing is that it's got a lot of flavour in it, so I always have a bottle available, and I do sometimes use that in my cooking as well. But I have to say, this every time, like, don't drink it. It's but you kind of like, ooh, it smells delicious because it's got all those wonderful flavours. And this is what it's all about, giving you guys flavour options. Because, you know, you take this and you can create so many amazing things with it. Whether you're just using it to marinate chicken, or whether you're using it as the base to your stir fry before you throw in the vegetables. Or, you know, if you marinate your beef or your chicken in this sticky sauce overnight and then throw it on the barbecue, it is phenomenal. You haven't added any more added fat. You are literally just going with this, and this will marinate the meat and also flavor it up, but it will also just, you don't have to add anything to the barbecue, to a hot plate as well. It's doing all the work for you. So it's fabulous. There's a million and one things that you can do with it, hence why you will see it in so many of my recipes, and why I believe it's the number one tip. It's the number one tip to get sticky sauce into your life. Most definitely. So the next one we're going to talk about, and thank you, that was a great question about the coconut aminos. This stuff is good. And here's another thought. If you've ever seen, someone said to me, is there a healthy alternative to fish sauce? The same company, these guys are called New Life, spelled N-I-U, Life. They also do a healthy version of fish sauce as well. So you check that out. These guys are really good. Like I said, it's a bit expensive, but it's, if you like that flavor of the fish sauce with certain recipes, you can actually get it. They're worth investigating for sure. So the next one that we're going to do is, I suppose, it's probably, and actually, it's the last one we're going to do, the last one for today. But, you know, already, all these things are flavors that you can add. And like I said, preparation is key, because if we fail to prepare, be prepared to fail. It's as simple as that. So, you know, as a chef, hence why I've got the chef's jacket on today, this is the key thing that we get taught as young chefs, is that preparation is key. If you were to walk into a restaurant and you look into the kitchen and it's just chaos, chefs are flying everywhere, food's taking, you know, hours to come out, you're waiting, that's because the kitchen is not prepared. The kitchen is ill prepared. So as a chef, I have been taught all my professional cooking career that we spend hours and hours and hours before the first person walks in the restaurant door preparing, doing prep we call it, or mise en place. So this is your mise en place. You don't have to spend hours and hours and hours on doing it. Think about all the stuff I've showed you. Some of them are really easy. Make sure you've got spices and wash your herbs and store them in a tea towel. And that stuff's easy. You know, make some kombu water. You don't have to do anything. Make your sticky sauce. It takes about 20 minutes. You know, basic stuff can mean that you are prepped and ready to go. For that first person to walk through the restaurant door, or in your case, for that first time, you go, I'm hungry, what can I make now? And then you just basically pick up the yellow book and you're away laughing. Yes, I got a question.
Deanna asked, you put it into an ice tray and freeze.
What's that? Put what into an ice tray?
Sticky sauce.
Oh, can you put sticky sauce into an ice tray and freeze? Yeah, 100%. And then you'll have little cubes of sticky sauce. That'll be really good. Only thing is, that is quite a lot of sticky sauce. I mean, my normal recipes, as I would say, add 1 to 2 tablespoons. And ice cube, unless you've got a small ice cube tray, then you've literally got, you know, one portion that you pop into your frying pan, you know, make a stir fry or make a soup or whatever it is. So yes, you can, just make sure they're small ice cubes, because you don't want to have, you know, you don't want to have 2 big ones. So the last thing that we're going to be, I'm going to be showing you today is, once again, preparation. I've just got a pot that I'm just putting on here, pot of water. And what I want to teach you guys is the best way to blanch a vegetable. Now, blanching basically means to plunge into boiling water. Now, why would you need to blanch vegetables? This could be like, this for me is what I've showed you prior to this, is all real key preparation stuff. But if you want to take it one step further with your preparation, this might be something that you want to look at. So I have a pot of water that I'm bringing up to the boil here, because remember we're blanching our vegetables. To that pot of water, I'm going to add a pinch of salt. I'm using Himalayan salt, which is a lovely mineral salt. If you don't want to use Himalayan salt, just make sure you get a salt that is a mineral salt, and you can usually get a good quality mineral salt from the supermarket. And the reason why we want salt with minerals is those trace minerals are really good for us. So we are using a good quality salt. See, I've got Himalayan, but I've also got other mineral salts. And we add a bit of salt to the water, just because it's a little bit of flavour. And then the other thing that we're going to do is take just a little bit of baking soda. Not too much. You probably need, in a big pot of water, you need about a teaspoon of baking soda. Why am I adding baking soda to the water? And this is cool. Like, this is such a cool tip. I love it. The reason why I'm adding baking soda to the water is because the baking soda is going to help to lock in the colour. Because the last thing you want to do is pre-prepare vegetables so that you can literally just, you know, create a pie or create a stir fry or create a whatever when you get home. Or you want to take vegetables to work and you don't want them to look all brown and nasty. So when you are blanching, that baking soda is going to make sure that you still eat with your eyes, because the vegetables look lovely and green and, you know, and as good as they should be. So that bit of baking soda is key. Now, whatever you do, don't throw those away. Cut that up and throw that into your pickles. We should do a pickle class too. There's so many pickles that we could talk about. But we're blanching right now. So taking your, I'm using broccoli of course, and you want to make sure that you're cutting the florets into even size. Anything that you're blanching, they need to be evenly sized. You don't want to have, oh that's a bit rotten, you don't want to have, you know, a big piece of broccoli and then a small piece of broccoli, because what's going to happen when we start blanching them is they're all going to cook at different times. So you want everything to be consistent in your cutting. So, you know, take your time when it comes to cutting it up, and make sure that you're getting lovely consistent sizes, because that is going to be key when you are blanching. So I'm bringing my pot to the boil. Bringing my pot to the boil here. And once we have a boil going, and you want quite a rapid boil too, yeah? You don't want a weak boil, you want a nice rapid boil. So once I've got my vegetables up to my pot up to a lovely boil, I should probably turn the heat up a bit, shouldn't I? I will have a cup. This is my yogi tea. That should be part of these foundation principles as well. Once I've got a nice boil here, all you need to do is take, and if you're doing like broccoli and maybe you're doing asparagus, maybe you're doing cauliflower, do them all individually if you're pre-blanching, because they all have different textures and different firmness. So if I was to put cauliflower with this would cook a lot faster than the cauliflower, even if they cut into the same size. So when it comes to pre-blanching, keep all your vegetables separate and do it like a bit of a production line. Start with one, allow them to cook, take them out, etc, etc. So once we've got a nice boil going on here, we just pop our broccoli into the water, and this is the part that may surprise you, because it definitely was surprising. Even as a young chef at chef school all those many years ago, I was a little bit surprised by how long this actually took, because I actually grew up thinking that broccoli was brown, because I was only ever served brown broccoli, or really sort of almost grey, not really brown but almost grey. And it wasn't until I went to chef school that I realised that we can still lock in those colours and lock in that flavour and lock in that nutrients, hence why we blanch. Blanch means to plunge in boiling water for no more than 1 minute, 1 minute maximum. If you have something in there for more than 1 minute, you're not blanching anymore, you're boiling. So blanching is to plunge into boiling water for less than a minute. And when it comes to broccoli, would you believe, that's all it needs. 1 minute, make sure your water's bubbling away there, you've got your baking soda, you've got your salt, stand over it and leave it there for no more than 1 minute. If your broccoli florets are really small, you might actually only have it in there for 30 seconds. That's all it needs. Anything longer, and we are boiling out the nutrients, we are boiling out the colour, and we are boiling out the flavour, and that is not what we want to do at all. So once your broccoli is done, you just scoop it out, and if you've got another vegetable, you know, do another vegetable now, throw your cauliflower in or whatever it is. But look at the colour, you can just, it's even more vibrant than when it was raw. So what you would do now, if you were eating it, you would just probably add some sticky sauce and away you go. Or maybe you're throwing it into a stir fry. But if you want to preserve this to have later on, you will now run, look at the steam coming up, right? You will run this broccoli under cold running water, or you will plunge it into ice water. And what happens when you do that is the vegetables, the cooking process will halt immediately. You'll stop cooking, because right now, even though I've taken them out of the water, they're still cooking, because it's what we call latent heat that's locked inside the stalks and inside the florets there. So if you want to prevent that from continuing to boil, which I'm going to do, is I'm going to go to the sink, cold running water. That's all you're going to do, is cold running water until the broccoli goes cold, and that is all. That is literally done. How cool is that? And you will have, I'll show you, give me a second. Doesn't take long, but you will be rewarded with a really fabulous bit of broccoli that, who's not going to want to eat that? Because it's fresh, it's firm, it still tastes like broccoli, it's not grey, it's delicious, so good. So, in a nutshell, this is what I do every week, and people always ask me, how can I maintain this weight loss? How do I maintain my health and my energy and my wonderful sleep patterns? It all literally starts for me with being prepared, and I cannot advocate enough for how being prepared will set you up for success. And it's all about success, isn't it? It's all about success. So there you go. Lots of wonderful things to think about. Please feel free to join, to share this video. If you know anyone who's on there, who's at the start of their health journey, who may benefit from all this advice as well, please feel free to share this video with anyone. But thank you guys all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that. And I hope you've all downloaded my magic chocolate cake with cauliflower. How good was it? Oh my gosh, I've got one over there cooling. We're having it for lunch. Alright guys, love to see you all. I hope you all stay safe and well, and we'll see you next time here in Bridget's Healthy Kitchen. Take care. Bye.